The first 3 weeks of the eruption here in Hawaii, crazy things would happen in the middle of the night. A new fissure would open up and it would threaten a new neighborhood. Thousands of people were evacuated from their homes. I started the Hawaii Tracker Facebook group to help people understand what's going on and get their questions answered.
Hey, how's it going? We're live. This is Fissure 20.
We had hundreds of people all throughout the neighborhoods sending in videos, articles, and images. We spend a lot of time making sure the accurate information gets out.
This is live. There's still lava moving.
They weren't just sharing a story, they were helping their neighbor. If a family was being evacuated, the group would just jump in and help out. So it was huge. They were watching out for each other.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you for the support from everybody.
As we go through this, we're growing closer together as a community. When tragedies like this strike, you really realize how much you need each other.
We are the Hawaiian Volcano Education and Resilience Institute, HVERI for short. A lot of people know us from the 2018 eruption of Kilauea in the Lower East Rift Zone. Working under Hawaii Tracker on the Facebook group. Since then, we've been trying to carry on and take the lessons, the hard lessons that were learned during that eruption and try and prepare for the next major disaster that comes to our island.
Yeah, so we do that through two different programs. One is Volcano Education, and the other part is digital resilience, which we address through online groups on social media. So the way the two programs work together is that the social media networks end up being a distribution pathway for all the information. And having that network in place means we can provide more than just volcano education, but any other preparedness information as well.
What we were working for really came about in the Mauna Loa eruption in 2022. Within hours of that eruption starting, we had the mayor, Mitch Roth, we had USGS HVO Ken Hahn on the stream trying to help flush out a little bit of the ongoing because it's so new. It's completely different from our previous major eruption, which was 2018.
One of the things that Talmadge and I were talking about was how do we deal with social media? It was something we needed to figure out and get right. Our job is to get information to the public and make sure that the public get it as well as possible and as correctly as possible. When Philip and Dane started coming to and live streaming the meetings, it was great because we were reaching more people than we normally would. So when the eruption actually happened, we had this relationship. The interviews we did during the eruption, the most fun ones were the ones with Philip and Dave because they were more relaxed and we knew we were getting to the local community and people were asking questions. So those were the best, I think. I just want to really give a shout out to those guys and how we worked as a team on this eruption. It really worked out well and we got to a lot of people we wouldn't have normally gotten.
Aloha, everyone. I am Dane DuPont, joined today by Two Pineapples Luatori and also Carrie and Dano Kaufman, our ASL interpreters. Appreciate you joining me. We have a little bit of a special in the works today. We concluded episode 27 over the weekend, and now we are anticipating episode 28 of the ongoing Kilauea eruption. But our special today on the back half, maybe taking up even the majority of the time today, is our annual survey of AI-generated images. And new this year, we're bringing video into the mix. Previously, we had looked at video options. They weren't worth showing. This year, with all the hype around VO3 and the other ones that we're going to go over today, we're going to see what it can do in the context of Hawaii. So how you doing, Lou?
I'm doing good. It's our third year, you and I, doing this AI presentation. It's crazy to, as we went through it, to see what changed and what didn't change, and what didn't change. And the video now that everybody's already experienced in some way, and you may not even have known it. So it'll be interesting tonight.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of discussion potential that we'll be having. We don't do this often. People have already noticed that we have the AI generated content label on. That won't start appearing until the back half of the episode after our community corner. So just so you're aware, everything in the beginning is authentic. Majority of it's from the USGS, but we do have some other things thrown in here as well. All right, with that, let's get into our summary. What do you think?
Let's do it.
You have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will see if we can answer them at some point during this whole thing. All right. Change up things here. And we are locked in. This is your Hawaiian Volcano summary for July 3rd, 2025. We're looking at a live view of the Kilauea caldera, fresh off episode 27, which concluded over the weekend. We have now tilt resuming. We'll talk about that, but let's take a look at the previous episode. We have the return of the F1 thermal camera, the long-awaited return. So let's review the episode. And the fountains that lasted a little over 11 hours got to a little over 1,100 feet in height. Not the tallest fountains yet, but significant nonetheless. Moving on to the USGS update for the current window for episode 28. We're looking at between July 7th and the 12th. And that's subject to change, but right now we've recovered as half of the tilt lost over the course of the eruption or the episode. And we have continuous degassing happening even during periods of pause, like right now, and we're averaging around 1,200 tons of SO2 per day, with that rising significantly during an episode. Taking a look at the tilt that I mentioned, we see about half of the microradiance lost. We lost about 14 microradiance and have recovered essentially half of that, a little more. And if it continues on pace, we'll be well within that USGS window for the next episode. The sawtooth pattern still continuing across the tilt. And looking a little bit further down in the East Rift Zone, we do not see the escape road. We see somewhat of a signal here, but by the time it gets to Pu'uo'o in the Middle East Rift Zone and further down Jonica, we don't see much of a signal propagating. Moving on to the earthquake map, we have the usual culprits here with the Kilauea caldera and the Deep Pahala activity, as well as the south flank of Kilauea, with one off earthquake out here in the ocean on the area of the Helena slump at a magnitude 3. Looking at the air quality currently, everything's in the green across the island according to the Purple Air Citizen Monitoring Network. Subject to change once an episode starts. Looking at the VMAP forecast. Last episode, winds were not strong, so maybe some more boggy conditions, but right now it looks like trade winds are dominating today at least, and then into the July, and then maybe a little weaker by the 5th. But these are not inside the window yet. And we do have fresh updates since it is the beginning of the month for Mauna Loa. Mauna Loa is continuing its recovery from the 2022 eruption. It's been a slow process, but gradual inflation around the summit. Let's take a look at some of that data here. Tilt really doesn't show us all that much, and the GPS sensors have recently been restored, so we can see these plots, these new points plotted. And if you draw a line, it's more or less where it was, but we also have to consider that there is an offset that happened when they readjusted. I mean, got these things recalibrated. And I believe we have one more on deck with Hualalai. Once a month, it happens. We get an update on it, and really there's nothing to talk about other than just highlighting, Hualalai is still an active volcano. It erupts once or 2 to 3 times on average every 1,000 years, with it last erupting in 1801 with a seismic swarm in 1929. And that will do it for your Hawaiian volcano summary for this week.
Hey Dane, are we in the window for Hualalai?
I mean, the window is in 1,000 years. There's roughly 3. So,
Depends on what end of that 1,000 years, right?
Right, and the one thing is about the seismic swarm. If that were to happen, that alone would, create huge amount of traction in the press, and the people would be scared. And yeah, so
USGS did put up the PTZ camera out there. Was it last year or so? 18 months ago?
Right. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of some stuff on Hualalai. Really, the monitoring on it is almost used as a proxy for Mauna Loa, even sometimes. So, moving on, we have a lot on the menu today. We have the chronological update from USGS. They went out just before the start of episode 27, and they looked down in that mouth of the vent again, which is always a cool shot. And we can see that lava is about 33 feet to 66 feet below the surface. So it's there. And this one we talk about, it's an ongoing eruption, even though it's considered paused just below the surface. Everything's there still for it to be considered, an erupting volcano. I think we had one more here. We have a look at the entire caldera, complete with all the recent resurfacings and new layers being added each episode. And finally, a look down at that deposit of all the tephra and fallout that has been accumulating on the backside of the caldera there. Then we move into the eruption, and we have the time lapse again from the F1, which is awesome to see it has returned. It's long awaited. And if you're wondering why it was down, is it was damaged in one of the episodes by the volcanic fallout, which, as far as we understand, landed and melted the cord or damaged the cords in one way or another. But we're happy to have it back. You can see that it's very quick here, but that 11-hour episode taking place and all the lava that it was able to produce. Moving on, we're just taking a look at the replays across the time lapses from the various USGS cams and that initial really large fountain. But as you pointed out a little earlier, it took a while for it to fizzle out, so to speak. We've seen some of them end rather quickly. This one kept hanging on. And the KW cam, bring it back a little bit. And then early in the morning, on the 29th, we have that. So begin, and then it gets a rather significant cover on that volcanic floor. V1 camera. This camera, they always zoom back in after each episode, and then when the episode starts, they zoom it out, and you can see all of that side of that hill continue to slump down as it's still liquid and underneath it all.
Hey, Dane, check your mic. You sound like you're going underwater on us.
Really? Oh, it should be good.
Okay. Maybe it's just pulled away too far.
Maybe. Onto the V2 cam, looking across the caldera. And we see that fountain pick up, and amazing just how comfortable we are with 1,000+ fountains at this point. Just another week almost.
Like that's all we've ever seen, right?
Right. Like this 100-foot fountain, no, that doesn't count yet. That's not a fountain yet.
Nope.
And moving on to the V3 cam. Probably the best camera angle. But also, it might be biased just because we don't have access to this. This is from one of the closed areas, and this perspective you only get here. And it just continues, that whole hillside continues to slump as even days after the eruption has ended.
That whole hill is just hot. I mean, that was just all the spray from the fountain filling up and flowing. It's incredible how much was coming off of that spray that created its own flow.
Yeah, let's watch that again a little bit too. And it's not just the surface layer that I feel is doing this. Like, it adds, that whole hill is still partially molten.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add a bunch more weight on it, then the whole thing goes together. So yeah, you do have surface movement, but just below the surface, it's dragging previous parts of the episodes with it. It's pretty cool. And moving on to the photo by the USGS, just of the fountain, and they note that it's approximately 1,115 feet at its height, and we did have the activation later on in the episode of the south vent, which got up to 65 feet. Not in the grand scheme, it's nothing, but a 65-foot fountain would be pretty cool any other year.
Would be.
Another look and the return of the white-tailed tropic bird. Are you gonna make the attempt, Lou, or am I on the?
Nope, it's all you tonight.
What was it? Like, yeah, I cannot remember. But there it is for you. We were talking about it last week.
Yeah, see, you're hearing it too. Just sounds like you just keep drifting underwater.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to set it up a little better. So
we got Carrie up top interpreting, so we're good.
Yeah. And then we have the Kanekikoi.
Here comes Dano.
And it's busy up there, but it's not, shoulder to shoulder, no room to get up there. If you can
I think because everybody can spread out so much now. The viewing's all over the caldera. You don't have to fight in Keanakekoi anymore.
I love how people are bringing out their lawn chairs.
Mm-hmm.
For a Sunday afternoon of watching giant lava fountains.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, when you look at that shot, that was 3/4 lava fountain and 1/4 tephra fountain going with it.
Yeah, this one really shows the tephra. The way the wind was not so dominant, allowing it to get higher than you've maybe seen it, where the wind's pushing it down and into the hill really quickly. All right. And we have a look at some Pele's hair in here, and each episode has been producing a ton of Pele's hair, and the wind's less strong or even blowing back from the south and then towards the north. Inhabited areas can encounter a lot more Pele hair.
Dano's having problems hearing you. Check your mic one more time. One more final check. Do what I do. Just kind of wiggle it around and.
I mean, it has the right microphone.
Yeah, we were good pre-show. I don't know why you just kind of faded off.
It might be their end, even. I'm not sure. Kind of drops out.
I'm up. Keep rolling, and I'll check on this other end here.
All right. Yeah, so Pele's hair amongst the tephra can get blown out of the park and can become a nuisance. It can scratch car windshields. It can embed itself into skin. You get it in your eyes. It's terrible. Yeah. So let's see if Lou can give me a little bit more information. And while we do that, we'll take a look at some of these lehua blossoms of the ohia tree and the fountain off in the background. All right, so let's take a look at one of the. I'm not sure if this was a blockage or one of the bursts, the gas bursts that we've had, or if it's a combination of the two potentially. But we have this shot that the Two Pineapples community was able to capture from the webcam, and we see that burst come forward, but then it seems like the fountain changes at the same time.
Right? Was it a collapse? Was it a big boulder that rolled in there?
Something coming up. The big,
right.
Yeah.
Something coming up on the block.
Level, but
whatever it was big.
Yeah, and makes it so it's not just so a static. It's not a garden hose. No. Right? It's not the same. It changes and it's dynamic.
But whatever it is, wedged itself in there pretty good for a minute or two.
Yeah, and we have seen this over the previous few episodes, I believe. I know it was last episode we highlighted some, but we've had a few before that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said there's something, 11 in the last episode?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much something like that. So yeah, they've been happening and create some dynamic things to look for up there. I wonder if that's an increased amount of gas, maybe like a prequel to the gas jets that we were talking about previously with other episodic eruptions on Kilauea. But pretty cool nonetheless, and appreciate you guys over at Two Pineapples for getting us this. Over on the Hawaii Tracker community, we had some really spectacular footage posted, some few compilations, and just wanted to highlight some of these. And this would be taken from that spot at the former Jagger Museum, that overlook that they've reopened. And you are as close as you want to get, really, at this point. And that all it takes is a little bit of a wind shift, and things can be blowing all in your hair and covering your car, all that kind of stuff. But
did you see what they just did right there? They were so close. They backed up they zoomed out a little bit. They thought the camera lens was a little close. Nope, they're going in.
So yeah, we'd like that view. You can see there right on the edge, the thermal camera, the V camera, and that's why they were damaged, is they are danger close to that fountain. You would not want to be standing there. And we had Nathan come through and wanted to highlight this. He was going through previous footage, and before the episodes really got going, and the most current view, just to show the difference in the height, so we can see the bottom mark and the line that he's marking off of, and then how much lava has been added since then. Again, previous, at the very beginning, back in late December, and then current. You can see that rock becomes very close to the surface, that outcrop. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. And we appreciate everybody at the tracker community. We had all kinds of footage coming in through there. And really great to look at, and people sharing their compilations of their footage over the course of the episodes. And we've done that for each episode. So really appreciate everybody that's contributing there. But that brings us to the volcano watch from USGS for the week. And this one focuses on gas pistoning, gas piston. We haven't seen so much of the gas piston lately. We've had these episodes pick up rather quickly without a bunch of foreplay, a bunch of precursor activity. Can you hear me?
He's struggling.
Can you?
I hear you, but it's still muffled a little bit on my end.
I don't know. Nothing's changed. That's the crazy thing. Try some different settings and see if that changes anything. All right. So gas pistoning is a shallow degassing driven by the fall of lava it drives the rise and fall of lava at the surface, creates what looks like a piston moving up and down inside of a cylinder. To start a piston or one cycle pistoning, lava at the surface becomes more viscous or thick, usually by cooling. That cool or viscous lava is more difficult than usual for gases to escape through. So gases that would otherwise escape to the atmosphere begin to accumulate and build up a foamy, bubbly layer beneath the cooler surface. Eventually, the foamy layer becomes buoyant enough to push the whole layer of viscous lava above it to higher levels in the volcanic conduit. If the lava reaches the top of the conduit, it spill out and deposit onto the floor, as we've seen over the course of episodes 14 and 15 specifically. So we can see the before, during, and after, but USGS was so kind as to provide a little video for us this week of one of these gas pistoning and episode 14. We can see it rise, builds up, and then drains back rapidly. Rise, drains up, and drains back.
That's a feature that we haven't seen in the last couple. You know, since that video was shot there, it seems as though the pistoning is happening more underground, and we don't get that full bowl fill up and drain anymore.
Right.
It's still there. You can see it. You can see it on the graphs, the spectros, but not on the surface.
Oh, I don't know what that was at the very end. One frame. There's one weird
frame. Oops. Well, been there. We know
been there. That has happened to us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a new event to see gas pistoning. We had gas pistoning at Pu'uo'o days back at Halemaʻumaʻu and pre-2018 at the Lava Lake. So we've had, pistoning events all over. It's not optimal, but it's okay. I appreciate everybody for bearing with me. I do not know what has happened during our pre-checks. It seemed good. So, and everything on the software side shows I'm using the right stuff. So we will try and
We're good. We're good.
I hope my mic's not going the way of your mic. Yours is working great right now, though.
Yeah, we can only afford one mic to go down at a time around here.
How do you duct tape a mic back together?
That's what I got over here. Some zip ties.
Yeah,
do what you got to survive. If you are taking images or videos up at the caldera during any episode, I posted the link in our chat. So go ahead for Hawaii Tracker. Go ahead and share them on our Facebook page.
Yeah. So you comment there that pistoning at Kilauea. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of gas pistoning out there that has occurred. And I don't know. They didn't do a list either of all the times. It's like it's been observed at Kilauea for over 100 years, and we expect it to continue. Yeah, it happens that frequently. But moving on, we have a little look at Pohoiki boat ramp, the dredging project down there. A new week more work done, a new time lapse for us to look at. So we're going to start back at the beginning on June 9th and work our way forward. This is all of the footage that is taken. So you have days where there's nothing happening on the weekend, and then days where a lot is happening and they move a significant amount of material relatively quickly. It's cool to see them build out that little, what would you call that?
Levy.
A levee, and then use that to get the extension that they need to be able to scoop it back out and work their way backwards. And they have put in so much quick work. We were originally expecting for mid-August to be the time that they breach it, and now it seems like the project's at a point where they're waiting for a crane or a bigger piece of equipment to get on site. And yeah, that's in the work.
Back up just 2 frames for the end shot there. There we go. And that's a beautiful Olympic Pohoiki pool down there right now.
Right.
And that levee that they have out on the end that's it. That's all they have to cut out for the ocean.
Right. I still wouldn't swim in it personally, but once that mouth gets open, then there's going to be a lot more water circulation happening inside, and I think it would be okay to swim in there. But yeah, beyond the point. But we do have also the only the work days compilation set up here. So let's just look at the progress each day that they were down there and moving some of that sediment, rock, sand, and everything in between. And yeah, I'm not sure how deep it is right now, but
it's well, look at the boom go down there, right? It's down 12 feet. I mean, at least. I mean, they're pulling off the walls.
We just need to have people on the lookout for when a giant crane starts going down the road, because there's only one road to get there.
That's it. If you are on the road between Hilo and Leilani to Pohoiki and you see a big crane, somebody get a hold of us, because that will be a sight to see in itself, to see that monster driving down there. I mean, that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. It's just a feat to get these machines down there. It's not a highway all the way.
Yeah, and for anybody that's curious what you're looking at here, this is the Pohoiki boat ramp. The ramp consisted of this pier with the concrete jacks, and then the one little area for you to dock your boat, and the ramp is off to the left. 2018, the sand and rock from the eruption broke apart, carried down the coast by the predominant tides, and deposited it in the bay. And we had a huge amount of material deposited here since about, say, very beginning of 2020. The sand essentially went into an equilibrium and mostly just moved around. And this project is going to remove enough 100-foot, or make a 300-foot entrance, and hope for the best. We have this gradual sand grade coming down, but there's no retainers or walls or anything like that that's going to be built alongside it. So
I would guess
going to be a lot of hoping for the best.
Yeah, when they breach that, I can definitely see the sides of that wall just starting to erode as the ocean's coming in. It should start peeling some of that wall apart. And there's no way around that. There's gonna be a whole nother evolution in this design.
Right. Yeah, the jacks, they're going to just be there, and it's going to be interesting because it's really hard to dig out. No machinery is going to be digging the jacks out, so to speak.
Nope, they're permanent.
All right, I think that brings us to community corner.
All right.
Yeah.
And
take this away.
Let me get this screen set over here.
You should be good. Oh.
No, I don't have it up yet. There we go. One more thing. I have a little surprise in here, Dane, that I didn't share with you today. And let's make sure my audio is on. And it's in recognition of our AI night. So let's go through our community corner. It's gonna be short and sweet because we have a lot on the next end here. We know everything that's going on up top with the eruptions. Oh, hey, who do I have here? Carrie. All right, Carrie, here we go. Watch your parking up there. We saw some accidents over the last episode. People thinking parking in the grass is okay. It's not. You will go off. It's not always level. And there are nene up there and there are children running around. So please be careful as you are in the park. And I don't know why.
Welcome to Hawaii.
Whoa, hold on. And we know the roundabout is coming up. They're working on it. And with AI, I created this for our roundabout.
To Hawaii. Drive with aloha. And maybe read the signs. Welcome to Hawaii.
I totally could not resist.
I love how it said maybe read the signs.
Maybe read the signs, right? And you guys will see some of this coming up later, and I couldn't resist. And you can see right here, look at the Jeep in the middle of the roundabout. So
I don't know if anybody can hear, but it does have a voiceover to it that's playing.
It wasn't playing the voice. I thought I clicked
I'm
audio.
not sure if it is.
No. It does say maybe read the signs, show some aloha. And I'm showing this, and we're talking about this later because you may not know that. I mean, this was just a quick one prompt and let it go. But if we spend more time with it, you won't know AI what's going on. And there's a lot of this video out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're trying to bring awareness.
The Jeep doing Jeep things.
Drive with aloha. And maybe read the signs.
Yep.
I also like how it turned left in the beginning. Like it just went into the roundabout the wrong way.
Viewing everywhere up at the park. You can't go wrong with any spot, whether it's up at where the old Jagger Museum was at, Waikahuna Overlook, all the way down to Volcano House, to Waldron's and Keanakekoi and around. You can't go wrong. Just be safe out there. Here's a look. There was some construction going on the last couple days working on this roundabout. They're putting information on the park as they do it, or with email announcements. Just go slow. Everything's changing every few days in the park. There's a shot of what the roundabout looked like a week ago, or from what the... Huh?
There's no Jeep in the middle of it.
No Jeep on this one. There's our Kilauea Military Camp Welcome Center. That's where you go check in to find out what's going on up there. Drive all the way up and through, and you'll follow the signs, and you can't miss it. Public parking is back behind where HVO is being built, the new building. Plenty of parking back there instead of parking in the bushes. And here we go again. One more. This is what's happening out there in a lot of the AI.
Let me get my banner ad.
Yes, get your banner up. There you go. Warning. Because this is what a lot of people are putting up nonstop as their Instagram reels or their talk reels or their YouTube videos. And you'll see some things in here that are fake. But if you just watch fast, you might not know. And there's going to be a lot of misinformation here.
As day breaks over Kilauea, we begin our journey from the sky, witnessing the living landscape shaped by fire and time.
Wait for it.
Now, we trade our aerial view for sturdy boots and walk into one of the most dynamic places.
Now, if they didn't have the sign messed up there and you didn't know this place very well, you might get away with that.
Earth.
This path tells stories of explosive eruptions, ancient forests, and the ever-changing nature of the volcano.
This path tells stories, Ty, of explosive eruptions, ancient forests, and the ever-changing nature of the volcano.
So just showing you how
as day breaks over Kilauea,
how bad it can be. Now there's not AI, that's Ranger Dean right there. But it's just awful. Some of the stuff out there is awful, but with some practice, you can get pretty good out of it, get good at it, and really fool some people. It's kind of scary. Ranger Dean, here's the guy you want to talk to up at the Kilauea Military Camp in the Welcome Center. And Life on the Edge is the program that's going on every day up there. there's other programs. They'll have signs out front. Talk to them, find out where to go. And I didn't put the Kilauea Iki walk on here because I'm not sure that they're running that every day. All programs are subject to weather, and weather rangers are available for it. We have a revitalized Puna Activation Empowers Community Preparedness event coming up on July 12th from 10 to 2. We will be there. Dane will be there to take pictures with y'all. At 10:30, you'll hear from Mayor Kimo Alameda, Councilmember Ashley Kirkowicz, Civil Defense and Recovery officials. Attendees can connect with emergency experts, learn about CERT training, and take home free plants. Start to boost food security. So we've done this now the last couple of years. Encourage everybody to go down to it. It's at Billy Kenoi District Park Gym in Pahoa. And we always have a good time. And Dane makes sure we got ponchos there this year. So we should be good.
I had to do it.
Of course.
Gotta have some good food.
When do we get the
ones are good too, but
when do we get the poncho shirts for endorsing them?
Oh man.
July 5th is the first Saturday of the month, and that is when the Tsunami Museum has free admission for all Hawaii residents, ID required. Live music, activities, and family-friendly programming going on down there. Special activities for Keiki live music. Regular admission applies for non-residents. Sorry, Carrie. Am I over my 400 words a minute? All right. I'll take a big breath while you catch up. There we go. And if you would like to be notified about an eruption episode, we do have an email volcano eruption notification system set up. You can sign up for our subscriber list of just our basic HVERI or our volcano eruption notification that we put out when an episode starts up. And there are lots of ways to follow us on social media or interest media. Hawaii Tracker Facebook group, our YouTube page, X, Insta, and our special LinkedIn that we're almost to 100 followers on. So if you are on LinkedIn, track us down because it is my duty to get us live on there, no matter what Dane says.
I'm gonna go check a live stream. Let me get on LinkedIn. Said nobody ever.
Has anybody ever done a live stream on LinkedIn?
All right.
There you go.
All right. Well, this brings us to thanking everybody. Start with the Kilauea Recovery and the Puna Strong, as well as the Bye-Bye Grant programs put on by County of Kauai and facilitated through the Hawaii Community Foundation. Make this program, as well as our digital resilience and youth development programs, possible. So I appreciate them for their continued support.
Stay next to the mic, Dane.
Nope. For their continued support. And yeah, also like to thank everybody that tuned in today. The likes, the subscriptions, the shares, all that stuff does help. And we have the list of all of our contributors there and supporters. So appreciate everybody for their continued support. If you are so inclined, we do take donations over on hveri.org/donate. There you go. And as well as super chats on YouTube, but we do encourage going over to the donation link. And yeah, everybody that tuned in today, appreciate you. Like, subscriptions, the shares, all that stuff really does help. We do have a $10 super chat from Norm. Continued support there. Appreciate it. As well as a $50 donation from Scott Ed, longtime supporter over on the platform. Awesome. Appreciate it, everybody.
And there's a comment on here. Go ahead and read. I'll read that for you. Monsolo says, I'm late to the scene, but I wanted to report in my travels. I found Pele's hair all over the esteemed eastern side of the island, smaller and thinner pieces further from the vent, but it's all over the place. Yeah, we definitely have been hearing that from everybody on Pele's hair nonstop.
Down in the East Drift Zone, or depends where? I mean, because you also have stuff that the eastern side of the island, that to me would almost indicate stuff from 2018 could be in play.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
Right? Depends where you are. I haven't seen where I am any Pele's hair from this eruption.
I'd say no fresh stuff.
No fresh stuff. There's still a lot of stuff left over from 2018.
I'm sure I have a gutter somewhere on the property that still has stuff
guaranteed.
junked in it.
All right. Well, I think that gets us through this whole section, and we can get ready for our little AI section that we're going to be doing here today. Go ahead and thrust that AI thing up just to be safe.
Get our disclaimer up there.
Yep. And now we're going to go have some fun. So what we do is we go through and we try and make fake eruptions, right? We try and make fake disasters. We've done all kinds throughout the years at this point, but we really like the eruptions because it shows some of the weaknesses that some of them have. Hawaiian style eruptions different from every other place. So if you're generalizing volcano as an AI, you can get certain things wrong. What we're looking on screen here is one of the prompts that we've run over previous years. And we try and run the same prompts each year just to keep a baseline without, we don't want to be showing that we're getting better at prompting, so that we're just trying to gauge how strong is the AI right now at this current moment in time. So
Right. And let me throw this out there, Dan. The reason that we do this is so that we can train our moderators on what to look for to prevent misinformation or disinformation visually from going on to Hawaii Tracker, and to help with other people to keep it from going on their site, so that when an actual emergency or disaster happens, we get flooded with all these images. We can differentiate what is real and what is not. So we use this to train others within our organization and group.
And also, I do digital resilience stuff where I present some of the ideas. So we do share it with public as well. Anyways, what you're looking at here is the previous years. So each one of these, when you see a prompt and an image, that's the previous year's iteration. So this was our 2024 image of Kilauea volcano erupting in Hawaii.
Stay next to the mic.
I'm trying here. It moves like a quarter inch, and apparently it matters now.
Just got to slide with it.
So we have a new participant in this whole thing, which is Recraft, which we've added to the list of the AI generators that we showcase. I wasn't overly impressed with Recraft throughout, but it has some highlights throughout it. It gets some stuff right here, but it gets some stuff very wrong. But do note that we didn't say, we say Kilauea, but we say just in Hawaii. So this looks a lot more like Oahu to me than it does Hawaii Island. Anything you see on this one?
Yeah, you brought up something that's really interesting on the Recraft and the prompting, because we're using the basic prompt that we started with a couple years ago, and AI has completely evolved from them. But Recraft does so much better at the 500 to 1,000 character count prompts. It struggles with the minimal stuff, and you can see right here on this image here, it grabs the Norfolks real well, but as for being Hawaii, not so much.
And also, one of the things that we've noticed over previous years, is it has a really hard time with power lines. So if you look at these power lines, they don't make any sense at all, and how these lines connect to the pole. Right? They're just kind of in space. So that's Recraft. Got some elements right, but you could look at this one and quite tell it's a big image. And we are selecting, we do have multiple versions of these. We're not selecting the weakest. We're selecting what we think is the most realistic.
Right. This is the one we felt was the strongest out of them.
And we ran multiple tries at the same prompt, right? Because you get something different even if you run the same prompt. So we were re-rolling multiple times on some of them just to see if we could get one that was somewhat believable. That's the best from Recraft. Moving on to Midjourney. Now this one, I don't know about you, but it gave me some vibes to it. 2018 with the albesias, the glow,
Yep.
the orange behind it, all of that looks actually kind of amazing. Even the Fisher line,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Lava flow, okay, maybe not the best. Maybe you can make some arguments for it, but the one thing that stands out here the most is the car that makes no sense here.
Yep.
Right? That's deformed car on the right. So we're always looking for those artifacts, those things that stand out that indicate that it's AI. The fewer of them you have, the more convincing it can be. But one interesting thing here is these power lines.
Yep.
They don't look the worst. But again, they don't make sense. Where are they going? Why are they not running down the street? It's just in somebody's backyard, right? And where are they going off to? And so, yeah, I've noticed that power lines, in terms of being a way to tell if something's fake or not, big in the whole grand scheme of things. Especially if you know, like, how the wires are supposed to look on your region. Little things like you have to pay attention to and get good at, and then it tells you the story.
It really struggled with hands over the years, and now we're seeing it's the power line struggle that's hanging on the longest.
But the thing about the power lines is there's probably not a bunch of demand. Like these power lines, they need to be right. For hands, there was a giant demand for hands to be done correctly. I'm like, please don't fix the power lines. I'd love to have that as a secret oracle that you can always rely on to just tell if it's fake or not. If there's a power line there, you can tell. But that's be the dream world, at least, because it's really hard. You don't have anything great to fall back to. But otherwise, like this background, the lava itself, and the trees, the glow, all of that is actually really convincing. Anything you want to add to that?
No, you covered it all. I mean, the houses actually look really good, especially with the wall on the lanai on the right side over there by the muffed up car. Yeah, like that's pretty typical us around here. That would work. This was a pretty good image. Midjourney never fails to impress me with keeping up. I think Midjourney's ahead of everybody so far.
And that's been true for years now. In the previous two surveys, Midjourney came out as the clear winner both times. And right now, it's off to a strong start. Let's see what else we got. We have another one from Midjourney. Not just one, but there was two that I was like, those are crazy. One thing that I was really excited about here was, it gets the Norfolk right. Yeah, the lava fountains look somewhat believable. It's the tephra falling in the foreground. Like those little particulates that are coming towards the camera, and the way looks like the smoke is being blown in the same direction almost. I'm like, okay, that's kind of spooky. That's kind of like really good. And what looks like a busted car here on the right. I'm like,
it's perfect.
It gets it. Unlike Rock, who is kind of.
I was really disappointed with Grok. I think that its deep research and reasoning was impressive going on when I was using it for that case, but when it came to imagery, really struggled. And I think it's just because it's so new. I don't think that it has the years that Midjourney has under its belt, but it definitely came out the gate. What's that?
I do appreciate the DeLorean that it put in there.
It was pretty sweet. Absolutely. Grok did come out the gate faster than DALL-E did. So it didn't start off like DALL-E, which was kindergarten, first grade.
Well, let's see how far DALL-E has come.
Yeah. Now,
it's not that far.
For some things, that's the thing, is that with this type of imagery, DALL-E really does revert back to the cartoonish look.
And I wonder if that's something to do with them putting guardrails on it.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly. Yep. Because if you go to do other things, whether it's creating logos or sketch designs, art designs that are sketched, pencil sketching, it does it really well. But when it comes to this, nope.
Yep. Good old Dolly. Anyways, moving on to the next one. We had a winner from from last year, the Diamond Head eruption, where it did some things that were very impressive. The hotels and getting the actual profile of Diamond Head from that perspective, which does exist. It's kind of crazy. And to put that fountain happening inside of it. We saw a lot of fountains where it's like, here's Diamond Head, but the fountain's over here coming out of the building. So this was the previous year. There were some things that kind of indicated that it was AI. We made the tail on the man in the foreground among them. But let's look at how they did this year, trying to make an eruption from Diamond Head, the scene from Waikiki Beach. Very popular spot, iconic view. Let's see what we got. Recraft, first and foremost, is not erupting in Diamond Head. It's behind it. But more or less gets the view kind of right. The profile of Diamond Head is kind of generic, but I don't think it's fooling anybody. But you can tell where you're at, right? You could be like, oh, this is supposed to be, Waikiki. Other than that, what do you think?
I mean, it does some really cool things in there. If you take out the fact of what we're seeing as a Diamond Head erupting, but if you look at the texture of the trees, the sand, the water, it does a pretty good job there. The buildings are kind of comical, but and the cliffs on the volcano are. But Recraft did okay there. It's trying. I see where Recraft is going. It'll get better.
I do appreciate like the little seaweed getting washed up onto the beach. The waves actually look really good. The water texture and the smoke getting blown up over the city, and that kind of stuff. Like even that looks like it's dropping stuff. Looks pretty good. Again, I don't think this one's for anybody. Let's see what Midjourney has in store. Off screen slightly. You can still say that's Diamond Head, but dang, pretty strong. I feel like it's getting the profile of the buildings more accurate now.
Yeah.
One thing that's still wonky is the people on the left. If you zoom into them, they don't really. I can't say in this, but don't exactly look perfect. There's a little bit of a tell in there, but the way that the wind's blowing in a consistent direction, blowing it all out to sea, stretching long distances, it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. It does look like a pyroclastic flow, that is true. But I don't know what a Diamond Head eruption would look like either, because I assume there'd be interaction with groundwater, and it might be, more explosive than maybe we're accustomed to. But it's hard to know. It hasn't happened anytime recent, so won't have great things to pull from. And we have one more from Midjourney on this one, a night shot of activity on the backside. It seems that it's easier to put it just out of camera than it is to show it. But that profile of Diamond Head, again, pretty amazing. That's the one thing that gets me is.
That's a good shot. I love the night shot there with all the lights in the building.
Right. And this, it even gets certain things right. So it's trying to, convey that it's a long exposure shot. And it does, you can see that through the water, getting all the waves washed out and just becoming a little whitewash kind of area. And then the stars in the background. So, yeah, this one, again, Midjourney is kind of creepy with how good it is. There are no big hotels on white sand beaches anywhere near Kilauea. Yeah, this isn't Kilauea. This is Diamond Head on Oahu.
Right. Oh, there's hotels up there, up the slope here, but they just don't look like that.
Right. And then Gork.
Oh yeah, tried. I mean,
There's something that maybe could be considered Diamond Head from like out of the ocean looking head on towards it. But that's not fooling anybody.
yeah, you would hope not.
You would hope not.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of not fooling anybody, Dali.
You know what? I'm beginning to think Dali has a mission for wall art. That's all they're looking to create. Because it's even facing the wrong. I left that one up because it's not even viewing in the right direction.
Somebody just said great photo.
But Dali's impressive.
Dali does Dali things.
Yep.
It's been this way, and every year we test it.
Yeah.
And every year it's like, oh, there's so many advancements in Dali, we're gonna have to try it again, and then we get this output every single time.
The optimism fades really fast.
Good question to ask is, where is the sun setting? I mean, this almost looks to me like it's looking on the backside, but it's just incoherent, really.
Yeah.
It's just doing things.
It's just doing things, period.
The dog chasing cars, this AI. Okay, so we have a new prompt here: Mauna Kea volcano erupting with a dozen observatories visible while inside the eruptive area. So we just want to make Mauna Kea erupt and have observatories in the mix and see what we could get. This was our 2024 image. It was pretty strong. We did have some, the observatories somewhat the right shape, and then that picturesque above the clouds look that is so iconic from Mauna Kea summit. So that was 2024 mid-journey. Let's see how Recraft did. Not bad.
No, it's not bad.
I don't know if it's believable with this. It seems like it's a fire almost in the smoke. But other than that, like, you'd have to be knowing what the observatories really look like. Moving on to Mid-Journey's entry for this year. What do you think of this one?
That was our pick of our winner, I think, while we were doing this. That other than that water tower that's down below, that they're trying to make another
observatory tower, water tower,
right? I mean, it still could be. It's just weird down there, but otherwise, the road driving up to it, the smoke. I mean, I like this one. The texture in the foreground. This was pretty sharp all the way around for me. I think that when it comes to a lot of this that I'm seeing with Midjourney is that I've seen a change over the year is texture more than anything else, because they haven't advanced that much in their product other than a few little things that you'd have to know what they weren't doing a few years ago. And one of them for me is colors and texture, more real.
Yeah, and it's pretty convincing up there. And it gets, again, that perspective from above the clouds with this one cloud filling up above it all.
Mm-hmm.
Discolored, I don't know. It's pretty strong. Work is...
Yeah, Grok.
We have two good ones and then two bad ones right now. That's how it's just going.
I mean, it's special.
Yeah.
I think that if you look at it if in the perspective of not ever knowing this area, not knowing telescopes, and maybe take out the eruption. If you could squeeze by on somebody that doesn't know too much about observatories in this area and might get away with it, but you start looking it in a little bit and it falls apart quick.
Things getting away with anything.
Yeah. Off the rails.
Looks like more like a moon base or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't compare to, with these exploding telescopes.
Yeah, welcome to the weekend circus of Dolly.
And the galaxy plus the galaxy on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We heard you like stars, so we put stars on your stars.
And did we even have stars in our prompt? Let me see.
No.
We didn't. Just because we said observatory, it went to the stargazing world.
And we don't even know what this ring is, the ring of fire around.
That's the ring of fire, yes.
Really good for observing. They have a ring of fire around your observatory.
Right.
With open domes, too. Marin, who works with the observatories, just has to point out.
It's creative.
Oh, what can you do? Apparently not this kind of AI art.
No. What it did get right, though, is above the clouds.
Above the clouds. It got something.
Got something right.
And another one from Dolly. Yeah.
Above the clouds.
You can say that about it. Even though it does look like there's a cloud layer above the clouds as well.
Of course. Why not?
Like, don't be laughing at Skynet, Lou.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this was a good one. I spent a good amount of time on this one last year trying to make something convincing, nothing fantastical like a summit eruption on Mauna Kea. I just want to make a tree blocking a road. And can I convince people that actually live on that road that this could be real? So this is what I ended up coming out with. Some people thought it was convincing. I don't know if they thought it was real enough or lived on the road, but they're just being nice. It does look like an Albizia tree down across the road. There are some things that kind of give it away from last year, but let's check out this year's versions. First up from Recraft, we have this. Does get the tunnel correct, kind of, but really hard to call this thing. Especially the lines on the road really give it away because you have double yellows, and then there's a white or yellow dash in the middle. We don't really use that pattern, but then you get to the tree, the double yellow line just ends at the tree.
Mm-hmm. And you're missing the most obvious part about the lines, Dane.
What's that?
They're straight.
No, there's you can see not straight here. That's realistic.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, and it just doesn't give you that vibe. The sides of the road kind of look decent, but let's see what Midjourney has in store for us. Oh dang! Again, this is another one where I was just like, that looks scary. Like I almost can tell you where the spot is and where I don't know. I couldn't. This whole brings up a whole different conversation, but we had tried to find the spot because I did recognize a spot very similar to this, but it was taken in the 2018 lava flows. And if you go and check Google Street View, yeah, you can roll back to previous times, like before the eruption, and view street views. However, in areas that have been destroyed by the lava flow, Google removed that ability. So you no longer can go into areas that were destroyed. So kind of sucks because there's entire neighborhoods that were preserved in Google Street View and now just removed and you can't access. So yeah, I thought this one was actually pretty convincing. The only things that I really stand out to me is the bumps on the road on the double yellow line don't look like the bumps that are actually used. And the tree branches almost seem like they're bending too conveniently in the right direction. Instead of showing that impact, the twist. You know how a tree looks when it falls and all of that tension is locked in it and broken branches. Everything just kind of bent on this one pretty conveniently. What's your thoughts on this one?
I agree with all that. Yeah. And what I would say is we're trying to do Puna, and you're 100% on the when we were talking about the bending of the branches, and the only place we would see that around here would be Hawaii or Waikoloa, somewhere out there where the wind's always blowing, maybe down south.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
where the tree just is living bending because of the winds, right? But not around here. So that
Not around
definitely
here.
an easy giveaway on this one.
And especially the way these trees like to grow out over the roadway, so the canopy would extend and create that green tunnel effect that Puna is so known for. And but other than that, it's like the sides of the roads, the little imperfections and stuff. It's
Again, look at the texture on the tree.
pretty incredible.
The bark.
And you can't tell if the other thing that gets cool is that you can't tell if the tree is dead or dying, and that's why it fell.
Yep.
Again, it goes deeper with Midjourney than it does with the rest. The other, we can't even make convincing cases with some of them, but Midjourney, we get things like this. You really got to start looking at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did have fun making these.
yeah. We always look forward to it. When Phil goes away for a little bit of time, we're like, all right, time to make all the AI images.
Yeah. What day we doing the AI day?
Grog just continues to phone it in.
Yeah.
And Dolly, I don't even know what to say. This tree has 2 root systems on it.
Yeah, this was ridiculous, right? And let's throw this back in there. Right, this was the best one out of all of them. Throw this back in there again, that we're using simple prompts that were created 3 years ago. So prompting today for us is, for me anyway, is 500, 1,000 characters, a very descriptive prompt versus what this maybe the 16 words that we used 3 years ago.
And we're not trying to test our ability to prompt.
Right.
We're trying to test out of the box how good are these systems without sophisticated prompts.
Right.
We can
exactly.
Probably I know we can make better stuff. It's going to take more time
and
be more intricate. We're going to spend a lot of time on one image instead of being able to go through a bunch of different images. But anyways, Dolly's still here.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. All right, so now we're gonna do some we're gonna do some insurance fraud, right? So what if you had a house and you have a storm, and you send fake images using AI of storm damage for an insurance claim? For damage reports to civil defense, this might jam things up as well. But this was our 2024 attempt at it. Got some things right, got some things wrong. Mainly the air conditioner here really is a giveaway. Nobody wants an air conditioner mounted into the concrete slab. But you got to start looking for things essentially that does it make sense or not. So 2024, let's see where we're at now. Recraft first. This house is a tank, I'm pretty sure. Nothing is going to scratch it, and that roof is made of some kind of heavy metal apparently. Just to see all this debris around it, but unscathed.
You know what? That's why it definitely was not built in Puna, because it's followed every single code.
I don't know what the code is on that window though.
It's still there.
So that's Recraft. The background got some Norfolks, got some palm trees. Variety. You don't really see where all of this debris came from though. Right, it's a tornado and it just dropped it on the roof. Kind of hard to tell. So that's the Recraft entry. You're not getting an insurance. They're going to say, seems fine to me.
Yeah.
But here's one from Midjourney. And actual damage to the house this time. An actual tree that looks like it's fallen onto the house. Just it doesn't make a ton of sense if you're familiar with the construction and codes and how things get built. You don't see one of these what looks like one of those gable ends like it was supposed to be, and it got landed on and smashed, but you don't see what would be the trusses, the fascia, like just pieces are missing, essentially.
Yep.
And like, what's this on the ground? Why is there a giant piece of steel here? Or what looks like steel? Where'd that come from?
Because the roof isn't steel.
Right. It could be, but you went with the shingled.
Right.
Right. So some things give it away a little bit more, but yeah, Mid-Journey strong. And where are the debris from the damaged house, right? They don't match. But it does get some things right. The other thing I don't like about it is this one little branch that I'm like, is that trying to act like a power line? And is this a power pole?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's a tree branch, though, acting as a power line. Again, it does not get power lines correct.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was trying to do. Pull from that power pole there.
Right. And that's where you would run, essentially, to connect to the house. I don't know
what species of tree was that?
This is maybe the best grok showing yet. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this house was damaged by the storm or long before that point. There is, some down trees, but I don't think you're getting away with no insurance fraud off of this one. You're going to end up in the courtroom one way.
Yeah.
Additional charges. The hard part is also getting it to match the actual house, right? And we're just saying make a house and damage it. Last year we tried to give it a specific house and have specific damage done to it, and wasted hours doing that to get nothing. And we did not repeat that this year. And finally, Dolly's still in the room with us.
So you're not going to believe that one when I submit it.
The one you sent to the insurance adjuster?
The one I sent in. So I'll be looking for some mail coming soon.
I mean, I will tell it this: at least it damaged the house.
Blew
out a wall and
shifted it off its foundation.
Looks almost more like flood damage than anything. I don't know. It looks like you're in the middle of the hurricane based on those trees.
Yeah, still in it. I want my insurance money. I'm going out during the storm.
At least there's house debris, right? And at least on that raised ceiling or that raised roof, yeah, it's not realistic, and that there's two of them right next to each other. But you can see what would maybe be the 2x6s that got ripped off of the fascia. Things over there, and then you see the 2x underneath it, right? It has materials there. There's depth to it. Never convincing anybody with this. And if you look at the power lines again, don't make any sense at all. At least it does. I love how each pole has a transformer on it.
It's a very powerful neighborhood, Dane.
You need 3 transformers per pole and multiple transformers.
It's redundancy.
Speaking of power poles, this was I love this one because I take this one on the road with me, and I tell people, when I hand them a picture, and I tell them this is a fake image, right? I'm telling you that it's fake, but you have to tell me why it's fake. And if you want to put in, anybody wants to throw in their guess, I've already given away power lines being one of them. These power lines make no sense. That's one of the keys, but there is one other key on this one. I'll keep an eye on the chat for a second. But it looks like Hilo, more or less. And you can almost pick the street that it looks like. Yeah. We got this chat noticing all the issues with the power lines now, right? It's one of those keys that can save you.
You'll start seeing things a lot different.
Emergency workers look inconsistent uniforms. Well, you can see maybe some of them are National Guards. One of them's a volunteer. One of them's a county worker. I can see that. But there is one thing about the workers that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stoplight's all wrong. It does have one of those stoplights wrong. One of them, yeah. I'll give you that one. But there's something you can't unsee here once you see it. I'll give you a few more seconds before I roll it in. It looks like the key here is this man's orange shirt is acting as a light source that glows off of the pavement. That doesn't make it almost acts as a street light. There's a man's face on his pants. Oh, there is.
I think what AI was trying to do there was pull the same reflection that it was doing off the headlights with the emergency vehicles in the back, and just dropped one under his foot there.
Right.
Pretty impressive.
Dawn says it's unrealistic because by 3 p.m. everybody would be off work and there'd be no lights on.
Possible.
All right, so this year, recraft. Then again, these are the best images that we could get. And power poles is its weakness, and we're telling it on this prompt, you have to have power poles, basically. You have to have power lines. So let's see what we can do. And there's so many things that the power poles are just not even our style that you'd find in Hawaii. And they're inconsistent amongst themselves. And even just look at guys in the front man's front hand and how it's holding a power line and what seems to be a branch at the same time. And then that branch just disappears. And what are we doing here? Right, in terms of work, what are we just doing a photo op?
Yeah,
Text is totally messed up. Yeah, it almost looks like a Russian Cyrillic on the helmet as a name tag.
Yeah,
but at least it got the the gloves that you would handle power lines correct with, or close to. So that's recraft. Give it a 5.
a 5. Yeah.
Thanks for trying. Mid-journey. Now for Oahu, I could actually kind of see this, right? Because Oahu does have some power lines in weird spots, to get over areas, and a lot of people on some of those. But I still think the power lines, in and of themselves, don't make a ton of sense. And again, mid-journey comes in with the strongest showing. Some of the faces look definitely off. Some of them have no faces. Yeah, there's a little ski lift at the end of the road, the cable. But yeah, I mean, it's for Oahu though, like running a giant line. I mean, we've seen some of those lines that they've ran up the hills or up the steep cliffs, and the strings that they do there. So again, this to me screams Oahu, and I wouldn't say it's believable, but it's better than this, which is Gork, which we are looking at a pile of power lines on the ground and somebody poking it with a stick.
That's to check to see if they're hot.
Yeah, I think that's protocol, right?
Because in the background, we have a transformer throwing off blue fire.
Oh. I didn't even see that. Oh no.
Yep. And this
That's
was
how
the
you
best.
deal with that though.
This was the best out of like 10 or 12 that I ran.
And again, we're still in the middle of the hurricane here with all the winds and everything.
Yeah, that's why they have the ponchos and the rubber boots.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a good point. This rain poncho has 2 hoods.
Of course, double protection. Right?
Right.
Prepared. That's preparedness.
What happens if your poncho's hood gets ripped off? Well, you got a second.
You got another.
But that's not the worst, because Dolly is in the room with us.
Off the rails on Dolly again.
Just, I don't even know what to say with this stuff. Everything is wrong. Apparently, let's talk about what's right.
Okay.
The palm trees aren't the worst. On to you, Lou. That's all I got.
I mean, if the palm tree, look at the second one from the left. There's only half the palm tree up there.
We're not counting that one.
Okay, that one's out. This is just garbage.
Why is there power poles in the middle of the road?
I mean,
What are
I
you
don't-
doing out in these conditions?
Yeah. I don't
Anyways,
know.
We're not
Hey,
going to waste much time.
double back real quick, Dane, to the guys with the power lines going up the hill. The one more. Look at the guys or the family or somebody all the way on the right sitting out on the patio of the house.
Watching. I'm not sure if those are people.
No?
I like it just could be stuff on the deck, I was thinking.
Oh yeah. If I zoom in real hard, yeah, just randomness.
Yeah, I mean, it looks realistic though, just because you can't tell. Right? I like. Anyways, we're running low on time,
Yep.
so I'm gonna
Let's move it.
kick through. So on this one, we had realistic. We wanted to try, and on this one, we wanted to really try and force it to do something current, where we didn't provide it a reference image, and we just wanted to see if it could go out there and figure out what current view looks like, and give us that. So we did this with Recraft, and we're trying to make a Kilauea episodes. The nice thing about if it was able to do it, we would be able to date how far back, roughly, it's being able to reference from. But the interesting thing about this one to me, overall, not the greatest job, but if you look at the bottom there, you see that little icon. And that icon, to me, looks like the icon you'd get on Google Street View when you're on the panorama, or that one special cams with one single point. Not the car, or even the car you could get this with, but even the warping that it's doing at the bottom of the image. Very reminiscent of what you'd see on maybe Google Earth. So I gave it bonus points for that, but nothing else. Just for doing, not, it didn't ask for it to be in that format. So that was Recraft. Mid-Journey made an attempt. Not bad. Doesn't look like the caldera really. Discerning eye would be able to tell. But this was the one that made us start that whole process. Was DALL-E finally showed up for one image, and one image only. And with this one, I was like, that almost feels like it was, one of the later episodes that we're currently experiencing. And it was amazing to go from this, one of the first images that we made with DALL-E, to whatever else happened. And then Lou put in just showing some of the prompting in that process and how it's referencing actual USGS imagery of the eruption. Now, we didn't do this for us on the front end, but on the back end to create that photo, we think that it definitely had an image to pull from to get this close to what's currently happening up there. So DALL-E got a point.
Yeah. Yeah. We may have got a taste of what OpenAI DALL-E is trying to do in the future is reach current events. They might have just slipped up on this one because this just happened randomly.
And the one thing in terms of what would that look like is, imagine you have, say, a hurricane in Florida. You tell the AI that you want to make, basically a fake image of said hurricane that's actually happening. What if the AI, without being provided an image, went and grabbed an actual image of said hurricane, used that as a base, and then deviated off of it? That's going to be really hard to catch, especially in those near real-time ones. So DALL-E got a point. Grok, still waiting. Still waiting. It gets the profile of the caldera somewhat, but the people, there's a random foot on somebody's back, and faces are all distorted. Pretty obvious this one is fake. Try and get through it some more. So, current view of the ongoing high lava fountains happening on Kilauea Volcano, shot vertically with a handheld cell phone from the perspective of Volcano House. So a lot of things going on here. These are new prompts that we made, but we can see that it's not even really trying. It's just making, big fountain. That would be Recraft's entry. Mid-Journey, though, that's pretty strong. I don't know if you're convincing anybody with it, but for the untrained eye, maybe. And it's putting it into that right side, that right spot of the caldera. And it is about the right height too, right? They're accustomed to that. That is a tall fountain or a high fountain.
We've seen a lot worse on
Yeah,
social media.
Yeah, so this one, Midjourney, comes in pretty strong again. Dolly, no, not the worst. Other than the lava lake, so to speak, that inner crater. Almost reminiscent. It's like a hybrid between the lava lake pre-2018 eruptions and the tall fountains happening now. And your boy Grok shows up.
Yeah, it's trying.
It's like super low res too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're moving on to the next. Create an image of the recent Kilauea eruption showing the lava flowing out of the north vent across the caldera floor. So pretty specific stuff. And that's not it. That's just a generic attempt at also rather generic. It again is in the right spot almost. The caldera is very narrow, though.
Yeah.
And a lot of the flow doesn't look all that realistic either. But it does get the different, the different colors of gray on the lava lake surface, indicating previous but somewhat fresh lava flows. And that's kind of cool.
And do we have a steam vent or another fissure out there in the wild?
Fissure. An imaginary. And then Gork shows up, and so does Dolly. Dolly,
Yeah.
I don't know. This one's kind of artistic. It's kind of actually cool. Like this one's again not bad. Like for Dolly, this is, it's not super realistic, but it's kind of cool and it's kind of accurate. Like the skyline's pretty cool above it. And finally, we get to the new section, the videos. So we are at the hour-and-a-half mark, but we'll try and get through these pretty quickly. So Kilauea Volcano erupting in Hawaii in a residential neighborhood. This is the same prompts, many of them, that we already did in the images. Right, so we're revisiting them, and we're also moving them, or changing the prompt to no longer focus on photography as much as we need video. So here we have VO3. This is out of Google. This is one of their flagship video generator. And if you go around, VO3 is going to be the dominant one on the market right now. But as you can see, it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of any kind of realism with an eruption. Impressive explosions and stuff, but anyways. So that was VO3. We have another VO entry here. Destruction in the neighborhood, but doesn't make, again, it's just destruction for destruction's sake. It's just like explosions happening in random areas. I mean, the video is definitely the hardest of all the mediums, from music to text to images. Everything has to come together, and then it has to make sense too. It looks more like Iceland. Okay, I can believe that.
Yeah,
it does look like Iceland. Yeah,
especially with the 2-story home right there. Yeah, that looks about
looks
right.
like Reykjavik. Other than the nonsense happening,
right?
And it does interesting that it tries to put it in like
the camera,
the old school camera, the 30 mil camera. That's how it's trying to do it. Anyways, moving on to the next one. And it just adds like random sound effects to it. I don't think you can. It's just like random.
I don't think you have your audio on.
No, I don't. But it's just random burning sounds and gas jetting, and it doesn't match. And finally, we were playing with Sora and trying it with Sora and really
Sora,
This-
Dan. Sora with an S. Sora. You're welcome.
and Sora here is laughable. Like, this is why we didn't do AI video previous years. Was this is exactly the level that we were looking at. So it is a video. It does look like a picture, but it's weird how the lava burns like fire.
Yeah. Like an LA fire, yeah.
Yeah, like an LA fire.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to the Diamond Head video.
These were my favorite.
Scene from Waikiki, realistic. So we're on to VO3 right here.
Yep.
I mean, the coloration's all off. And it does make these 5 to 8 second clips. It doesn't like to make longer stuff. So when you start seeing these length, it also is kind of indicated on itself. Moving on from that, if I'm allowed to. It was not letting me change the slide.
No, I did not, did it?
And another one from VO. We're also trying it through different avenues. So, like, what about VO3 through their own terminal? What about with Canva AI helping? What about, and it all kind of looks similar to me at the end of the day. There's a similar look to it. And again, what is this volcano supposed to be? Because it's not Diamond Head.
Nope.
This one was Sora.
Love the drone shot.
I think this was also VO3. Yeah, the drone shot coming in.
Mm-hmm. This is
At
VO.
least it gets the contour of the bay somewhat accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, this one was Sora.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't look anything like Diamond Head. Kind of maybe the buildings on the left. It has some elements of Waikiki, but not for anybody.
This doesn't have anything to do with the imagery, but I just noticed that the watermark on the bottom uses the OpenAI, but that's also animated. It's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, they run a little animated.
Yeah, I never noticed that before.
All right, some eruption of Mauna Loa. Fissure line of eruptive vents opening on the southwest rift zone as seen from Kailua Kona. So imitating the view from 2022. Get ready. Because it's just more generic volcanoes. It doesn't look anything like it. And the amount of eruption happening is kind of wild. Multiple vents, fountain, caldera still active while the rift zone's active. So many things. Next, I mean, this is probably one of the more realistic videos that we've had, but that is not at all what we told it to make.
Nope.
And you have to just kind of say that it's Mauna Loa, but it looks like it would be down in the saddle. So kind of weird. Again, nobody's. It's so hard to do video, and we just that gap between those images, the quality of the images, and the quality of the videos. But there is the Gemini here with its attempt at VO3 and the fissure line or whatever you want to call this.
I think
fountains that happen inside the lava flow conveniently.
I have a lot of hope for Gemini. I saw just in the brief stuff that I was able to do on there. I think with the right prompting, Gemini might shoot above a lot of the others that are out there. I liked it.
Right. They're all using VO3, but it's
Mhm.
just
But they
what
all
else
have
can
their
you
own
want?
little tweak to
Yeah.
it, right?
Right. None of them are really outperforming though at like a big difference. So this is Sora again. Yeah, it really does not know what the volcano looks like at
No.
the fountain. So instead of trying to just prompt it, with this one, we're able to work with Midjourney, and the way that Midjourney's video generator works is you provide it an image of a starting frame, and then from there it takes your prompt or just extrapolates a prompt from the image and runs with it. So we give it a starting point, and then we see what it turns out with. So we're going back to the same Kilauea eruption prompt and running it one more time, this time on Midjourney. We took that photo that we created of this and just animated it into a 5-second clip. And the same issues that exist in the original image with that car do not get solved. Right, that car is still as telltale as possible, but really the fountain itself, the projectiles, the billowing gas into the air, the glow off of the gas, the light sources from the lava shining off of it from below, very strong, very strong. One of the Midjourney has so much potential still. Like it does great things, but there's still a ton of potential there. But we could also do that with Sora, and we provided it with the same starting frame, and it had a different interpretation of things. It wanted to end the world. Sora wants violence.
All the magma came up at one time.
Yeah, it takes something and just like hold my beer.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Diamond head photo. We've seen this one a few times. Diamond head erupting. But let's see what we can do if we provide it one of those starting images. And dang, that's actually not bad. Show one more time here. The plume billowing off into the distance. In some parts of it unrealistic. The people don't make any sense really, but it does get the time. The thing that's crazy is it's time lapsing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing's time lapsing, and if you look at the movements of the people, they're time lapse on top of it. So pretty cool. I don't think you're fooling anybody, but and it does do some interesting, unrealistic angles too. This was one of the ones that we were. Oh, is that just the same video? Maybe this was the one. No, this was just Sora. So once you give it a starting image and confine it a little bit, it can either do nothing or lose its mind. Like, 'cause this one, it's actually pretty subtle what it's doing. The waves don't look realistic, but they're believable at some points. The birds flying across, you know. It's definitely easier to give it a starting point and work off that. And this was the zoom angle where I'm like, that's pretty cool, but what's taking this image? It's not a video game. How are you getting into from here on a tripod to the sky like this?
It's drone shot.
The Sora ones are kind of lower res, and that is it. I believe that is the end of everything we had today. But I did want to show just one image, before we end here. We had that image that I was like, oh man, I almost know where it is, but we couldn't find, the spot in real life before it was destroyed by the lava. So I went and found somewhere close enough. And it was essentially this area. Other spot looked better, especially with those albesias, but this is a few miles down the road and kind of the vibe. So let me just flip back and forth. Oh, there we go. So yeah, kind of the vibe. The trees, there was nothing like that one specific spot, and I wish I could actually show it. But I wanted to show just what the road actually looked like. So pretty cool stuff, and there was that double yellow line up there. It looked so similar. Anyways, I think that does it for us today. I know we went over a little bit our normal time, but we kind of expected it with how much AI stuff we've been playing with. Figured that would take an hour to get through. Yep, got through it in an hour, essentially. And we appreciate everybody that are sticking with us. And we will be back next week with our standard no AI volcano update. We'll be joined once again by Philip Ong. We'll be come back and adding to the story, maybe be able to explain a little bit of the new stuff that we're saying. Were the trees that big though? Oh yes, they were. I remember one tree that fell in the Hurricane Iselle, Tropical Storm Iselle, that was across the road, and I swear that thing was 15 to 20 feet tall. Just stood on its side across the road, the trunk 15 to 20 feet, flush with the ground, just trunk.
Yeah.
Huge monster trees. So, yeah, the size of these albesias, we're talking 150 feet for the big ones. Huge bases to them. So, that's cool.
It's realistic.
Yeah. Not saying that this is going to fool everybody, but I'm sure you can fool some people with this. All right. Well, is there any questions that we had to?
No, I think you pretty much covered them as we were going along.
Right. All right. Well, we'll be back next week at our standard time, 5 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, unless something happens. A new episode at this point expected. Won't be live for that, but we'll be posting on the Hawaii Tracker Facebook group, so make sure you're signed up there. As well as if you want notifications for when it does go off and you can't get up there, we do have the option under hveri.org/subscribe. And with that, I think we are done.
We had one $5 donation I want to throw out there from Don Stringer. Hopefully everyone has a big, beautiful 4th of July Friday tomorrow. Pizza Friday tomorrow.
Friday, 4th Friday. All right. Appreciate it there, John.
Try to get that out.
And yeah, we will be back next week. Thank you for our ASL interpreters, Carrie and Dano. Thank you, Lou, for everybody. Aloha.